Why is it so difficult to answer this question? How do I invest in Canadian and US companies with a trustworthy broker that charges the least commission? On YouTube, there are videos promoting brokers with high commission charges. But Reddit doesn't have favorites. After reading through multiple discussions, I finally found what I was looking for. Interactive brokers, also known as IBKR. With a presence in Canada since 2000, over 2 million users worldwide, and a reputation for lowest commission charges and low currency conversion fees, I decided to give them a try. Today, I have my entire portfolio on IBKR, which I use to passively invest in both Canadian and US stock markets. So if all of these options baffle you and you don't know where to begin, I see you. I've been there. By the end of this video, you'll know the exact steps I took to start investing. Because in today's video, we're going to see how I opened an account with interactive brokers. I'll show you a quick demo of how I buy Canadian and US companies, along with the charges I have to pay for both. And in the end, I'll tell you why I personally decided to open an account with interactive brokers instead of my bank or other brokers out there. And at the end, if you like this video, please leave it a thumbs up. It motivates me to make more videos. Without further ado, let's begin. Just to reiterate the disclaimer, none of this is investment advice. These are just the steps I took to start investing using interactive brokers. You decide what's best for you. And if it's interactive brokers, then here's how I opened an account with them. All I needed was my browser and 20 minutes, more or less. First, I kept these details handy with me, which made the entire process easier. Social insurance number, a document to verify my identity like passport or driver's license, and a proof of address. Any one of these documents would do. I also had my phone next to me because IBKR uses it for verification. With all of these documents around, it was time to open the account. To get started, you can scroll down to the description of this video, click on this link, and you will reach Interactive Brokers' official website. If you use this link, you'll also be supporting this channel. Over here, I'll select the country, which is Canada, and I'll click on Continue. I clicked on Open Account, Start Application, and on this screen, I entered my email address, chose a username, set a password, and made sure I remembered both. Country is Canada, and I clicked on Create Account. And this is how I finally made a start. I received a notification to confirm my email address. So I clicked Confirm here and opened my email in a new tab. There, I found an email with a similar Confirm button. After clicking on it, I was taken to a confirmation page like this one. I went back to my original IBKR tab and noticed the pop-up had disappeared, and it now prompted me to select the type of account I wanted to open. I want to open my TFSA, RRSP, and non-registered savings account today. You decide which account you want to open. If you just want to open a TFSA, then select just that. TFSA and RRSP are saving accounts that provide certain tax benefits. And a non-registered savings account is like your regular taxable account. To know more about these saving accounts, their contribution limits, and how I decide how much I invest in which account, you can check out this video by clicking right here. I've also left its link in the description. Moving on, I check the rest of the options IBKR provides. Not interested right now. I already selected the 3 accounts I wanted to open. Here, I select my province, choose a language, and click on Start Application. This next screen is all about me. In this section, I entered my contact information, name, address, city, and phone number. This section is where I entered my personal information like date of birth, marital status, and social security number. In this section, I entered my employment details, followed by a source of wealth section. I took a guesstimate to the best of my knowledge. I set my base currency to Canadian dollars, and finally, set my security questions and answers, with the hope that I'll remember them later. After I clicked on Continue, I saw a pop-up asking me to confirm my mobile number by entering a code. After the confirmation was done, I saw the screen asking me to configure my trading account. I selected my account type as margin. I needed some help understanding the difference between cash and margin, so I used this AI search tool by IBKR to get some clarity. In fact, I've used it throughout the process whenever I had some questions. I've left its link in the description in case you want to use it too. Moving on, this is where I needed to provide details of my income and net worth, again to the best of my knowledge. This is where I had to enter my investment objectives and purpose for trading. I'm looking for growth, so that's what I'll select. And then I enter my trading experience and knowledge level here. I do not want to trade in options, so I uncheck this box. I'm more of a long-term investor where I want to buy and not have to worry about it for some time. And after checking the rest of the details, I clicked on continue. Now at some point during this process, I got logged out because I switched to doing something else. So to log back in, I entered my username, password, and then I saw a screen like this asking me to activate the IB key. I could have directly scanned the QR code, but this is what I did. On my phone, I first searched for IBKR Mobile on the App Store and installed it. Next, I scanned this QR code using my camera. A link appeared. I clicked on it. It performed a face authentication, enabled IB key, and I was logged in on my desktop. Now, whenever I log in, I'm asked to scan a QR code as an extra layer of security. Coming back to my account opening, I had reached this confirm your tax residence screen. This is where I reviewed my details, and if something was incorrect, I went back and modified it. This is where I entered my taxpayer identification number. After reading all the fine print listed here, I signed here in this box and clicked on continue. I reached the review and sign agreement screen. I again reviewed all my details, checked the fine print, and clicked on the check boxes. Signed in this box right here and clicked on continue. I saw this screen which says my account is being set up and clicked on continue application. On this screen, I could see two buttons, fund your account and verify identity. But because it says required here in red, I'm guessing it's more important. So I'm going to verify identity first. Here's a fun fact. My spouse did not have to verify his identity. I asked the IBKR support team why our experiences were different, obviously because I was a little offended. They explained that identity documents are only required if electronic verification fails. So I'm guessing that maybe, because they already had my husband's documents on hand from when I created my account, that likely smoothed out the process for him. So I'm not going to take this personally. But just a heads up, you might not encounter this verify identity step 2. If you're one of the lucky ones, then you'll likely see your dashboard right away with your accounts already created. In that case, feel free to jump ahead to this timestamp to reach the funding account section. But like me, if your identity also needs to be verified, I get it. This is taking longer than I expected. Here's what I did. On clicking this question mark right here, it gave me a set of instructions to follow, which would need a mobile phone and any one of these documents as a form of identification. With my mobile phone and driver's license handy, I clicked on verify identity. I selected streamline verification and clicked on continue. I read the terms and conditions and clicked on I agree. Now I scanned this QR code using my phone, which launched the streamline verification process. I was asked to capture the front of my document, the back of my document, and then take a selfie. Finally, on my desktop, it said that my document was being processed and my dashboard looked like this. After a few moments, it said that my identity verification was complete. Next, I needed to verify my residential address. I clicked on each of these links to check out the document list. I had one of these files on my desktop, so I uploaded it here and it said, your document has been received. It took me to my dashboard, which said, being processed. I started doing something else again. I got logged out, so I logged in again, and this time it asked me to enter beneficiary information. So I provided all the details of my beneficiary like name, address, social insurance number, reviewed and signed the document just like earlier. And then I reached my dashboard where all my accounts were still in progress. Everything was yellow. I'm guessing because my document was still being processed. Now here are two things that did not go my way while I was creating my account. I created some unnecessary accounts along the way, maybe because I was being impatient. So I hit on the cancel button next to them while they were still in progress. And thankfully, they never got created. And number two, instead of adding a successor to my TFSA, I added a beneficiary. So I raised a ticket with the help center and the support team helped me with the steps to change that. The point is, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to raise a ticket and ask the IBKR support team. I've reached out to them so many times and they've patiently helped me out every single time. To reach out to them, I just go to help, support center, and contact the customer service team using any of these options. Anyway, after a few business days, I got an email saying that my accounts have finally been created. Yay! If you've gotten this far, well done. That was not easy. And now comes the part I was most excited about, funding my account. Just a quick reminder, in case you haven't already, then please use the link in the description to open your IBKR account. This way you'll be supporting this channel so that we can keep making more videos. After my accounts were created, my dashboard looked like this. I can now toggle between my 3 accounts using this left-hand side pane. There was $0 in each when I created them, obviously. I find it difficult to remember which account number represents my TFSA, which is my RRSP. So first, I'm going to give these account numbers an alias, like a nickname, to help me differentiate between them. To do that, I'll click on this icon, go to Settings, click on Select Accounts, and a pane would appear on my right-hand side. This allows me to toggle between my 3 accounts and also tells me, thankfully, which account number is what type. So I'm first selecting the TFSA account. Click Continue, and it loads the settings page for my TFSA account. I scroll down, click over here, and give it a name, My TFSA. I repeat the same process for the rest of the 2 accounts. Click on Select Accounts, select my RRSP account this time, scroll down, click on Alias, and I'm going to call it My RRSP. And I name my 3rd account Non-Registered to signify that it is a non-registered savings account. My dashboard now looks like this. Now I know exactly which account is my TFSA and which is my RRSP. This was important to me because I don't want to exceed my contribution limit or withdraw money from the wrong account. Now let's fund these accounts. I'm starting with my TFSA. I click on this downward arrow and then Deposit. This page gives me 3 deposit options. I choose Online Bill Pay because I'm familiar with it and also it's free. I click on Get Instructions. I entered my bank name, give it a nickname. My bank account number is optional because this step is just to notify IBKR that I'll be transferring so-and-so amount. Before transferring a larger amount, I like to test a first-time transaction with a smaller amount, like $10 or $20, to ensure that I've entered the correct account numbers. So that's exactly what I'll do now. I'm going to start with the token amount of $10 and I click on Get Instructions. On this page, I'm given a payee name and my TFSA account number, which I have to provide to my bank. I want these $10 to go to my TFSA, not my RRSP or non-registered accounts. So I must provide this TFSA account number to my bank. With this displayed here, I'm going to log into my bank account using my phone. I click on Pay Bill, Add a Payee, Search for a Payee, where I enter this payee name that I'm currently seeing on my desktop. After finding it, I give it a nickname, let's say IBKR TFSA. I enter my TFSA account number, which is displayed right here on my desktop. I hit Save, Pay Now, and from my checking account, I transfer $10 to my IBKR TFSA account that I've just added as a payee. I hit Pay Now, and the process is done. I click on this Finish button on the desktop. I repeat the same process for the rest of the 2 accounts. I click on Select Accounts, select my RRSP this time, select Deposit Funds, select this method saved from earlier. I'm going to enter $20 this time and click on Get Instructions. You would notice that the pay name remains the same, but the account number provided here is my RRSP account number, which means I have to add a new payee using my bank's app. So I repeat the same steps as earlier. Enter the payee name, give it a nickname, IBKR RRSP, and this is where I enter my RRSP account number, which is being displayed on my desktop right here. I hit Save, Pay Now, and transfer $20 from my checking account to my IBKR RRSP payee, and my process is done. I'll repeat the process for my non-registered account, this time transferring $30. I use different amounts to confirm that each transfer goes to the correct account, since it's my first time making these transfers. After 1 to 6 business days, the funds were transferred successfully. $10 to my TFSA, $20 to my RRSP, and $30 to my non-registered account. Once I confirmed there were no errors with the pay setup or account numbers, I transferred the remaining funds to my accounts. I can use this button right here to show or hide my balance information and account numbers. Now that I've funded my account, it's time to buy some ETFs. Just a quick reminder, if you still haven't, you can use the link in the description to open your IBKR account. You clicking on that link will help out this channel, and we can keep making more videos. ETF stands for Exchange Traded Fund. They are like a basket of investments that combine multiple assets such as stocks, bonds, or commodities. This allows investors like me to invest in multiple companies through just one fund. My favorites are index ETFs. They track indexes like TSS 60, which consist of 60 large Canadian companies, or the S&P 500, which includes 500 large cap US companies. Index funds allow me to stay invested in the stock market passively while keeping management fees low. Before we begin, if you want to first understand what is stock market, what is ETF, what I look for in ETF before buying it, then you can watch this video by clicking right here. It's a good place to start learning if you're new to investments. I've also left its link in the description. Happy learning. So for this demo, I'm going to buy some ETFs and I'm going to buy them from two exchanges. A Canadian marketplace like the Toronto Stock Exchange and a US marketplace like the New York Stock Exchange. So this section will have 4 demos. In the first demo, I'm going to buy an ETF that tracks a Canadian index, meaning it invests in Canadian companies and is listed on the Canadian Stock Exchange. In the second demo, I'll buy an ETF that tracks a US index, meaning it invests in US companies, but the ETF is listed on a Canadian Stock Exchange. Buy an ETF that tracks a US index that's listed on a US Stock Exchange. This is different because to do this, I'm going to need US dollars. I'll show you how I get those. And finally, I'm going to show you how I use the IBKR mobile app to keep a track of my portfolio and also to buy an ETF. These exchanges are open on business days from Monday to Friday from 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. They are open right now as I'm recording this, so let's buy some ETFs. For this demo, I'm going to buy an ETF that tracks a Canadian index and is listed on the Toronto Stock Exchange. Just to reiterate, I'm not recommending buying any of the ETFs. It's just a demo of how I use the IBKR platform to buy ETFs that are listed on Canada and US exchanges. With that understanding, I'm going to log into my IBKR Canada account, perform my QR code authentication, and my dashboard appears. On the left-hand side, I see all the 3 accounts I've created, which are my TFSA, RRSP, and non-registered. I see my performance charts, but the rest of my personal details are hidden thanks to this button right here. To buy an ETF, I enter its ticker symbol on this search bar. I click on this option that says TSC, that is Toronto Stock Exchange. I click on stock and the ETF page gets loaded. This flag right here helps in confirming that this ETF is listed on a Canadian exchange. And this ETF in particular tracks TSX 60, providing exposure to 60 large Canadian companies. If I'm sure I want to buy this ETF, I click on the buy button here and this pop-up appears. I can select which of the 3 accounts I'm going to buy this ETF in by clicking on this drop down. Let's assume I want to buy this ETF in my TFSA. Over here, I can enter a quantity, and here I can select the unit of measurement, which can be the number of shares or Canadian dollars. Let's say I want to buy shares worth 10 Canadian dollars, or maybe I want to buy just 1 share. So I'll select share here as my unit and enter 1 in the quantity box. The cost at which I will buy this 1 share will be determined by this drop down called order type. As a person who likes investing long term, I'm only interested in these 2 options I use most commonly, market and limit. If I select market, it means that my order will be executed immediately at the current market price. The market price currently is 34.90. So chances are that's the amount I might pay for my 1 share. But here's the catch. There is no guarantee of the exact price I'll pay. For example, if I place a market order right now and the market price suddenly rises from 34.90 to 40 Canadian dollars, then I'll end up paying 40 Canadian dollars for that 1 share. Similarly, if the market price drops to 30 Canadian dollars, then I'll end up paying $30 for 1 share. Of course, I'm exaggerating a bit. Prices typically don't change this drastically in a split second. But I like being safe than sorry. Which is why my favorite are limit orders, because I can place a limit on the price I want to buy the ETF at. Let's say I select limit here. Then I need to provide a limit price. If I write, say $35 here, it's my way of saying that I want to buy this ETF only if its price is $35 or less. And this order will be executed only if my limit condition is met. And that may or may not be immediate. So I am prioritizing price control over speed. But hey, the market price is at 34.90 and I'm setting my limit order at 35, which is a good buffer. This should ensure immediate execution while also protecting me from any unexpected price hikes. Did that make sense? It's okay, it took me time to get it too. You can always go back to this minute and watch the explanation one more time. Next, we have this time in force drop-down. It determines for how long my order will remain active. I'm going to select day, which means the order will be active till the current trading day. I can also select good till cancel, which means the order will remain active unless it's either executed or I cancel it manually. Just as the name suggests, good till cancel. But let's select day because I provided a good limit buffer. So I am confident this order will be executed today. Before I click on buy order, I'm going to click on preview. And this is where I can see a summary of how much it will cost me, including the commission IBKR is going to charge me for this buy. Just as an experiment, I'm going to go back and enter 100 shares and click on preview again. And I can see that the commission it's charging me is just $1 Canadian. And that is one of the reasons why I chose IBKR, because it charges $1 or less on commission. Just for this demo, I'm going to go back, change this to my non-registered account, and let's say I want to buy shares only worth $10 Canadian. I'm going to click on preview. I'll double check the charges, and when I'm convinced I want to execute this order, I'll click on submit buy order. I read the disclaimers and proceed if I'm okay. And there you go. It says my order has been filled. To view this order, I'm going to click on portfolio and I'll find it listed under my holdings of my non-registered account, which is currently selected through this drop-down. If I go to trade and orders and trades, I can see my transaction details here as well. If I wanted to sell this ETF, I can just go to portfolio, click on these dots and select sell. A pop-up would appear in red, which more or less has the same options as the buy pop-up. I would mention the quantity I want to sell. I can place a market order, which will sell it at the current market price, or I can even set up a limit order, just like we discussed for buying. After checking the rest of the details, I'll click on preview and I can check details like the commission charges. And if I'm convinced, I'll click on submit sell order, which I am not going to do right now. But now you've seen how I use IBKR to do both a buy and a sell. In the previous demo, I bought an ETF that invested in Canadian companies and was listed on the Canadian exchange. Now I want to buy an ETF that invests in US companies. I can do this in two ways. I can buy that ETF on Canadian exchange, or I can buy that ETF on a US exchange. I speak more about this in detail in this video. So if you want to understand more about what I personally look for in an ETF before buying them, then you can check it out. In the second demo, I'll buy an ETF that tracks a US index, meaning it invests in US companies, but the ETF is listed on a Canadian stock exchange. For that, I will enter its ticker symbol on the search bar. Click on the option that says TSE, that is the Toronto Stock Exchange, and click on Stock. The Canadian flag right here confirms that it is listed on a Canadian exchange. And right here in the ETF name, it says S&P 500, which is what I want, to invest in US companies through an index. After checking the rest of the details, I'll click on buy. I will select the account I want to buy this ETF in. Let's say it's my non-registered account. In this drop-down, you will see the units are listed in shares and CAD. Even though this ETF invests in US companies, it is listed on the Canadian Stock Exchange, so I can buy it using Canadian dollars. Just as earlier, I'll enter the quantity I want to buy over here. I'm going to place a limit order at 61, leaving a nice buffer to ensure that my order is executed, since the market price is still at 60.35. And I'll click on preview. I'll check these details, including the commission IBKR is charging me, which is less than $1. And after double checking my details, I'll click on submit buy order. After you hit submit, just like in the previous demo, you'll be able to see the order under portfolio and under orders and trades. Things get a little tricky if I want to buy an ETF that invests in US companies and is listed on the US stock exchange, because for that, I'd need US dollars. But my funds are in Canadian dollars. Wait a minute. Why would I even want to buy ETFs on the US exchange when I can simply buy them on the Canadian exchange? I talk about it in more detail in this video, so feel free to check it out. So to purchase an ETF listed on a US exchange, I need to first convert my Canadian dollars to US dollars. To do that, I'll go to Trade, Convert Currency. I can use this drop down to switch between my three accounts. I'm going to select my RRSP. Over here, it says that I currently have 700 Canadian dollars in my RRSP. If you remember, I had transferred $20 to my RRSP earlier while I was funding my account. After those $20 got transferred to my IBKR RRSP account, I went ahead and transferred the rest. If you want to refresh your memory on how I made the transfer, you can go back to this timestamp to visit the fund transfer section. So to convert my currency, here in from, I'll select CAD. And in to, I'll select USD. It shows that my balance is 700. So let's start with 10 Canadian dollars. This shows the currency conversion rate IBKR uses while converting my currency. Just to check the current rate, I'm going to go to another currency converter website. It says 0.73431 over here. And IBKR is offering me a rate of 0.7342. I can see that the difference is really small. It's almost the same. After clicking on preview, it says that IBKR will charge me a conversion fee of 2.72 Canadian dollars for this currency conversion. Now let's change it to $100. Click on preview and IBKR is still charging me the same amount, 2.72 Canadian dollars. Let's change it to $690. Click on preview and the commission rate remains the same. This is the main reason I personally chose Interactive Brokers. They charge a flat commission fee regardless of the amount being converted. In contrast, most Canadian brokers charge between 1% to 3% of the conversion amount as a fee. This means the larger the amount I need to convert, the higher the commission I'll have to pay, which can really add up over time, especially when converting CAD to USD and back. I talk more about this, including Norbert's Gambit, in the last section of this video. But I encourage you to do your own research and choose a broker that suits you best. For now, I'm going to convert my 690 Canadian dollars to US dollars by clicking on Submit. And my currency conversion order gets executed. My RRSP account currently holds around 500 USD and 7 CAD. I'm going to switch to my TFSA account using this drop down here. And as you can see, I have converted the Canadian dollars I had in here to USD already. Now that I have US dollars in both my TFSA and RRSP, I can now buy ETFs that are listed on the US exchange through both these accounts. To do that, I'll enter an ETF ticker symbol that I want to buy just for this demo in the search bar over here. I'll select stock. The US flag over here confirms that this ETF is listed on a US exchange. After checking the rest of the details, I'll click on the buy button. I want to buy this ETF in my RRSP account. So that's what I'll select in this drop-down. I'll enter 5 here for now. Notice that the drop-down now shows 2 units, shares and USD. In the previous demos, it showed shares and CAD. Since this is a US exchange listed ETF, the unit here is USD, indicating that I'll need US dollars to make this purchase. This over here gives me an estimate of how much these 5 shares can cost me based on the current market price. I'm going to place a limit order. I'm not leaving a lot of buffer, but I'm hopeful the order will get executed. After reviewing all the details, I click on preview to double check everything, including the commission fees. At this stage, if I change my mind about anything, I can always go back and modify my order. I'm going to change this to 8 shares. I'm going to click on preview, and after double checking all the details, I'll hit submit buy. After reading and okaying the disclaimers, it says my order has been fulfilled. Looks like the small limit buffer worked. I can go to trade and orders and trade to check the details of my previous transactions, including the currency conversions apparently. I can even go to my portfolio and find my recent purchase under my RRSP account. And if I select my non-registered account, I can view the ETF I had purchased during the first demo. Now let's see how I use my IBKR mobile app to keep a track of my portfolio. Because I keep getting this itch once a week to check my portfolio. Just to take a look, not a panic, just a look. But before that, comment and tell me if you would like to buy ETFs on the Canadian exchange or a US exchange. This can help me decide what videos to make for you in the future. Now, how do I use my IBKR mobile app to view my portfolio? For that, I'll log into my IBKR mobile app on my phone. It does Face ID authentication and logs me in. And here under the portfolio tab, it shows me all of my holdings. I can click on this downward arrow and select a particular account as well, like my TFSA or non-registered account. Now, if I want to make a purchase here, then I'll click on the search bar and type the ETF sticker symbol that I want to buy. I'll check its details, and once I'm sure this is what I want to buy, I'll click on the buy button over here. I see an option here to select the account in which I'd like to buy this ETF. I'm selecting TFSA for now. This drop-down allows me to modify the quantity parameter. And right here, it lets me toggle between shares and dollars. I'm going to select the unit US dollars here and directly enter 10 using my keypad. Over here, I can set my order type. In case it's limit, then I can set a limit price and also the time in force. If you need a refresher on what these options are, you can go back to this minute to visit Demo 1, where I talk about these options a little bit more. I can click on Preview to double check the details, including the commission charges. And if I'm okay with everything, I'll slide this button to the right to buy. I like the IBKR mobile app, but you can also keep a track of your portfolio using the IBKR Global Trader app, which according to them is catered to a beginner audience. But I think the IBKR mobile app is good enough for beginners as well. But that's just me. You figure out what you like. Now before I tell you why I chose IBKR, if you like this video, make sure you subscribe to this channel and hit the bell icon, because it tells me that I should keep making more videos. Just like you, I had watched a lot of videos comparing various Canadian brokers, learning about Norbert's Gambit. I've even spoken to my bank and a financial advisor outside my bank about investments. But here are the reasons why I chose IBKR over others. The financial advisor I spoke to recommended me some high expense ratio mutual funds. Now, I'm not questioning anybody's expertise, but I personally like paying less in management fee, especially when my investment philosophy is to just buy index. My bank allowed me to create a TFSA, RRSP, RESP, FHSA accounts as well, but I could only invest in mutual funds through all of them as well. So check with your bank what they do or do not allow. The other two brokers were WealthSimple and QuestTrade. Both have their pros and cons. WealthSimple offers a better UI, while QuestTrade offers more accounts. But my concern was minimizing currency conversion costs. They currently charge a percentage base fee, and even using Norbert's Gambit would have resulted in higher conversion costs for me compared to IBKR. Having said that, I still have to open my FHSA and RRSP accounts. If you want me to make a step-by-step video about opening these accounts, then comment below and let me know. And that brought me to IBKR. A friend of mine actually told me about it first. And then I read about it on multiple forums, including Reddit, where people talk about IBKR's low commission charges. I made this video about interactive brokers because it is a platform I personally use and trust to invest in Canada and US. If you want to open an account with them too, then please use the link in the description to sign up with them. You clicking on that link will support this channel. On that note, I'm Taskeen, this is The Urban Fight, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.